Bonsoir à tous, heureux de vous retrouver pour cette soirée de football. On va pas se mentir, la pluie qui s'abat sur le terrain depuis maintenant plusieurs heures ne devrait pas nous offrir une pelouse parfaite. On a même vu tout à l'heure les arbitres inspecter le terrain, ils avaient l'air plutôt graves. La cérémonie du rebond du ballon, etc., etc. Mais a priori le ballon roule, le ballon rebondit bien, alors le feu vert a été donné. Un coup de chapeau quand même aux supporters qui ont eu beaucoup de courage et ont bravé les éléments pour venir mettre de l'ambiance aujourd'hui.
Ce stade est superbe, c'est émouvant de se retrouver là.
Et le match est donc lancé. Le Celtic contre les Las Vérone. Il est bien placé. Il choisit de centrer. Et il dégage. Et ça va pouvoir repartir. Gagliardini, il joue sur sa gauche. Bradaric qui est vraiment très à l'aise dans ce genre d'action. Gagliardini qui récupère ce ballon. Bradaric.
And start with that. I tell you what way you start with it. I told you so. I don't like saying it. I bloody told you so, and so did all of you. The positive toxicity prats need to just wake the fuck up, because there is a huge problem at this football. I'd rather have the cast of Strictly Come Dancing playing tonight for Man United, and they turn up every Saturday night. I mean, I'd rather have the bloody... Scrub that. I'd rather have the cast of Pornhub. At least they know where the goalmouth is. I mean, the things I'd rather see playing for Man United tonight than that shower of shit is incredible. The list is long. The cast of Hollyoaks, you know, it's just... The local pub team, absolutely shit. Shit. Everybody shit. Manager shit. And I think when you're looking for somebody to blame, I go back to what I always go back to, and I'm sure many of you are going to agree with me here. We can't play against a low block. Bruno Fernandes is not a captain and he's not a midfielder. Why are we playing 3 centre-backs for 90 minutes against 10 men? I mean, the list is going to be endless, and I'm sure you're going to have your own things to say. But ultimately, I've got to say, I think every United fan tonight, for once, is going to be on the same page. It's just what you write on that page, and it's going to be bad. Because when you break it down, this is a game you have to win. I go back to the preview, I go back to before the game. Everton at home, all due respect to Everton, and let me just pay a bit of respect to Everton, they deserve to win that game. They deserve, I mean, what would it have been if they'd have had 11 players? They might have beat us 4-0. That's the worst performance of the season by United. We're getting gradually worse. Forest in the second half, Spurs, and now this. Shite. You know, I didn't like the Forest and Spurs games, but people went, it's a good point. Can I just say this? I was so angry after Spurs. I was so angry after Forest. And I was here, and people were going, yeah, but we'd have lost this game last season. We'd have lost. This is a good point against Spurs, because we'd have lost it last season. We beat Everton 4-0, you bloody idiots. We've just lost to them. So where's your, we're making improvements? Where's your, we're moving in the direction? Oh, it doesn't matter if we play badly because we're moving in the right direction. We ain't moving in the right direction. We're going to think we've hit the... People think the Europa League final was the lowest point. I always say we might not have hit the bottom of the barrel. And again, I'm not convinced that we have. We may end up having to sack another manager again. And will the next manager come in and keep the same shit? Because that's the problem here. I go back to that. It's always the same problem. We always ignore the previous manager's mistakes. Amorim has taken no notice of what Ten Hag did. And Ten Hag took no notice of what Rangnick did. And we'll bring another manager in who goes, I'm not interested in what Amorim done. I'm my own man. I've got my own ego. I've got my own ideas. I'm not. Everyone gets another chance. And this is the mistake we keep making. We never recruit a manager and ask them, have you looked at what Rangnick said? Have you looked at what Ten Hag did? No, we don't. We get a manager who comes in and goes, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it like this. And you know what? My leadership team is going to be the leaders who fucked up the last manager. We need to bloody, you know, an Ineos are just the Glazers with strings on. Oh, yeah, at the end of the day, you know, 3 years, it's a long job, you know, it's the end of the day, you know. we're in it for the long run, you know. We want to build a stadium and get Coldplay here every year, and you know, the Jaguar Rave. We've got money to make. You know, get a new kit out, make it look like the one from the 90s. You know, we'll sell that off as well. You know, it's all about that. You know, get cinema. You know, champions. You know, and that's it. People start talking when we draw against Spurs and we're 5 games unbeaten. They start going, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm loving what Ineos are doing. Yeah, I'm loving what Ineos are doing. They finally get it. You know, we're heading in the right direction. Yeah, you know, we're fine. Yeah, give Casemiro a new contract. Yeah, keep Maguire. This Bruno hate, it's just an agenda. And you sit there as somebody that says, don't give Casemiro a new contract. Don't trust Ineos. Bruno doesn't play in the midfield. And you think, I will just wait. I will just wait to get proven right, because I will get proven right. As I said in the watch-along, these fans that try and find the positives, I feel bad for them. They are the person who is in a relationship with somebody who keeps cheating on them and they keep taking them back. And you just pity them for going, this time it's going to be different. This time it's going to be different. No. They're literally out now on a dance floor in town, you know, having a good time, and you're not there. You know, and they're going to have an even better time because they're off to own somebody. It's just so naive. The problems with the club are the same problems we've had for years. The people at the top haven't got a bloody clue. The manager is locked in on his own vision and hasn't learnt anything from the previous manager, and the players are stealing a living. And we do have some positives, but I look at Mbeumo, I look at Cunha, I look at the Menz, and I look at De Ligt from last year and Mazraoui, and they just become the next Rashford, the next Garnacho, the next Pogba, the players that you think, oh, they could be really good, and they end up getting infected by that. I mean, look, what I'm trying to say is, how put a performance in like that? That's the answer I can't give you. I can say I'm not surprised, but I cannot I cannot justify or understand how, after 2 weeks off, when you play on a Monday night and you know if you win, you are into the top 5, potentially 4. You've got a really good run of games. You're at Old Trafford. The Red Army's there with all the flags. It's a great atmosphere. The fans are behind you. Everybody's excited. Everything is there for you. And as they walk out, they all decide to go, nah, can't be arsed. Switch the switch off today. Maybe next week. And that's the thing. Like, you can lose a game of football and you can go, oh, the referee, or oh, we've hit the post, or oh, the Everton were better than us. They were better than us before the red card. They were better than us after the red card. It would have been criminal for us to get a draw. But the question has to be, why and how do you put in a performance like that? What is it? And that's the thing we shouldn't drop. You know, Amrin will probably come out and hopefully be quite honest. But why does that happen? And I tell you why. That's why I've put in the title, sack them all. Because they need sacking. They all need to go. On that performance, they all need to go. Because everybody's had a bad game. Everybody's had a bad game. So why? I'd be saying to De Ligt, our player of the season, why have you been dragged down to that level? I'd be saying to Mbeumo, why have you been dragged down to that level? You know, they're playing with 10 men, and Dia and Grealish are hardly getting the ball. When they get the ball, they're making things happen. Why is everybody getting dragged down to that level? What's going on? And you do, look, I don't want to individualise it. Somebody at half-time said Xerxes, Dorgu, Mazraoui were shit. And I said, they may be shit, but they're not any shitter than anybody else. But I can't individualise it. But we've got to talk about the manager. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people saying Amrin out. And it's probably a little bit like Liverpool saying Slot out. But is it really the manager? The manager is responsible, but is it really the manager? Like, the manager could have given the best speech and the best tactics. They didn't turn up again. Like, they just didn't turn up. No player has grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck and said, we're playing shit, but I'm going to have a good performance. Like, no player played well. So, yeah, the manager has to take responsibility, but so does the players. Like, you don't win that game even if Pep Guardiola's in charge, or Arteta, or Hansi Flick. You don't win that game when your players don't turn up, and they didn't turn up. So people might shout Amrin out, and that's up to you. But I also say, like, all right, let's sack Amrin tonight. Let's bring Glasner in. He's still working with that. That will still happen. This happened with Ollie at Goodison Park. We lost 4-0. This happened with Ten Hag. This happened with Rangnick. This happened with Mourinho. This is happening with Amrin. That's the problem. The culture at the football club. This is not Manchester United. I said before the game, I long for the days of Beckham and Giggs and Scholes and a team that you're proud of, and they could lose a game, but you'd just go, well, you know, it's very rare and sometimes that happens. But we lose games like this. At half-time, I said it reminds me of Brentford. Brentford was abysmal. It was almost like, how are we doing that? That's the worst game. I mean, that Spurs. Obviously, the final against Spurs was about the Europa League final. That, you know what? Anybody who thinks we're better than last season, anybody who thinks we're on the way back, that's a massive kick in the nuts, because that's right up there with anything we've done in the last 10 years. That's one of the worst performances in the Premier League we've ever had. I know we've only lost 1-0, but the circumstances of it, we may as well have lost 7-0. Because we were 0-0 against 10 men and we didn't react, and then we've conceded and we still haven't reacted. It's what you call a lazy bastard result. It's an absolutely disgraceful performance. Every fan who's paid to go to that game should have their money back. That is a disgrace to Manchester United Football Club, that performance. And you know what? Nobody's going to come out and do that, but they're all on fucking social media when they get a fucking win, aren't they? They're all there doing all that. Well, I tell you what, lads, that's fucking abysmal. None of you get a pass. None of you get a pass. That's disgusting. Disgusting. And look, like, as I said, like, if you're in Everton at home, if you're in a title race, you've got to beat Everton at home. If you're mid-table, you've got to beat Everton at home. All due respect to Everton, but you've got to win that game. I'm not saying you've got to win it playing well, but you've got to win the game. And I think that result today destroys anything. It destroys anything. The unbeaten run, the confidence that you might get top 5. I am banning myself from doing score predictions. There is no point. Absolutely no point. There's no point predicting what United are going to do, because you've got no idea. Nobody's got a clue. I don't know whether we're going to go to the Emirates and win, or we're going to go to Burnley and get beat 4-0. I don't know. And that's the definition of inconsistency, and that's what light switches is. We're a light switch team, and we deserve nothing out of that game today. I want to get into some of your comments, and we will do player ratings. Remember, you can register for that. But there are some things I wanted to talk about. I mean, look, first of all, I'm going to defend Xerxes and Mainu and Mazraoui to a certain extent. And I'm going to talk about the manager first. My issues with Amrin today are threefold. One, Xerxes is going to get pelters. If he'd had more minutes, I think he'd have scored one of those headers. He is rusty, he is not sharp, he looks like a guy who's playing in pre-season because he hasn't had any game time at all. And he looks rusty. And people are going to take a pop at him. But what you've got to realise, at the highest level of football, match sharpness matters. And he hasn't got any. So, you know, that's a problem. Also linked with Xerxes, we don't have anything. We don't have a striker in the entire squad apart from Sesko. And that to me is incredible. And like Obi last season was on the bench because we didn't have anybody else. And today on our bench we have no striker. And on the pitch we have no striker. So when Everton get a man sent off, we should really be putting a striker on. And we don't have a striker. How are we in this position where the only striker we've got is Sesko? How has that happened? And I know he said in his press conference, well, I can't keep Rasmus because he'd be sat on the bench. What are you talking about? It's a game of 90 minutes. You take your striker off after 70. If he's not playing well, you rotate it. To not have another striker in that entire squad today killed us, really. You know, if Harry Maguire had been fit, we'd have put him up front. Why have we not got a striker? So that's point one. Xerxes not match fit and there is no striker. Point two, and this is the one that's going to sting the most. Amrin must stick with a 3-4-3. That's what he's all about. He must stick with a 3-4-3. But in certain circumstances, you have to abandon it. When the game throws a curveball, you don't stay with a 3-4-3. You can't play 90 minutes with Shaw, Yoro and De Ligt when they've had 70 minutes with 10 men. Like, literally just put another man in the box. Like, it should have happened sooner. You don't have to be precious about your formation when you're playing against 10 men. It's a rarity. 10 men's a rarity, and fortune favours the brave. I mean, really, we should have just been playing 3 at the back. Forget 5. We should have gone 3 at the back. We should have gone like Shaw, De Ligt, Ahmad, and took Yoro and whoever else it was, Delo off, and put strikers on. But we didn't have anybody who could do that. So I think that, you know, he quite rightly is going to get penalties for that, because he was so rigid with the 3 defenders. And look, they were pushing forward, and De Ligt had a good chance at the end. But, he's going to get... I can't protect Amorim, I don't even know if I want to, but he's going to get absolute penalties. Sorry, I've got a bit of a... Cold coming in, it's tickling my throat on this side.
Votre analyse sur ce but.
La balle était bonne, les services étaient parfaits et il a brillamment conclu cette action. Bravo.
And then the third thing I want to talk about is, you know, the perennial question is the midfield. Like, I don't know why people defend our midfield, and I don't know why Amorim thinks it's sufficient. I don't know what the decision in the summer was, but it's not good enough. And the fact that he keeps Bruno Fernandes on the pitch in the midfield for 90 minutes again, I mean, James Garner may as well have been trying to... He made Casemiro and Bruno look shit for the whole entire 90 minutes. And I'm not saying James Garner should be back at Man United, but he made them look really bad. I mean, Bruno's at fault for the goal, he's at fault for the yellow card, he had a terrible performance. I mean, Bruno is a number 10, there was a couple of good shots, there was a couple of good crosses, but that's not what a midfielder is, that's what a number 10 is. As an actual midfielder, offered very little. As a captain, offered nothing. And look, I'm not saying that Bruno's not our best player, I still think he's a very important player for us, but Amorim's got locked in on this Bruno obsession, and it's killing us. And the obsession is not actually Bruno's fault. Bruno Fernandes in the midfield is a problem. And when you're losing to Everton at Old Trafford over 90 minutes, and Bruno's in the midfield against 10 men, and he can't conduct a win, that's a big hint to anybody that still thinks that can work, that it can't work from months ago. But there are still a dwindling few that think that Casemiro and Bruno can work. And it can't work. It won't work. It can't work. And I'll tell you why it won't work as well, in another way, is that we've played most of the game against the low block, and we can't break it. We can't break it down because Casemiro and Bruno can't play against the low block. Casemiro and Bruno want to move the ball quickly for a counter. They can't play against the set system. We've not been able to do it for years. We don't know what to do against the low block. And it's hilarious to see United whipping some quite good crosses into the box, but relentlessly for about 20 minutes we're whipping crosses into the box, and our 6'7" or 6'5" striker isn't there. You know, we're wicking, we're crosses in, and you know, we don't have players to get on the end of it, and I find it I find it hilarious because I look at it and I go, Everton are funneling us down the wing. You know, they've got 10 men and they're funneling us down the wing and they're blocking off, trying to block off us playing through them. So we're going down there like gullible sheep, and then we're putting these crosses in, and you've got Michael Keane, you've got Tarkowski, and you've got O'Brien, who are all good in the end, and we've got Xerxes. That's it. Xerxes is the only one who might get on the end of it, and he did a few times. And I'm like, the best 2 chances we had was Mbourno and Mount had a chance as well, where we tried to play through them. And I'm like, Man City would play through this Everton team. Arsenal will play through this team.
Mouskuna.
Lots of teams will play through this
pourtant,
Everton
il avait
team.
été
We keep trying to put
servi.
crosses in.
C'est le ballon en
I thought
profondeur qui
that's
fait
like
la
the
différence.
definition of
Un
cowardice.
superbe toucher
Like
de
we've got
balle.
no confidence to play through a low block, so we're actually just doing what Everton want. We're just whipping cross after cross after cross in. What we should be doing, and when you've got people like Bruno Fernandes, Xerxes, Mbeumo, Mount, Ahmad, Mainu, we should be able to ping 3 or 4 passes
Bonne phase
quickly
de pressing.
Pour
that we've
presser,
worked on
ça
in
presse,
training
les attaquants ne ménagent
to
pas
get
leurs
through a
efforts.
low press.
Faudrait pas qu'ils le
Like the
payent
way
dans
you
leur
get through a low
lucidité face au
press
but.
is to move the ball quickly on the ground. You don't put crosses into the box because that's what they want. You've got to have people playing little passes, making clever movements.
Bien défendu,
and
il
we just
remporte
can't
son
do it.
duel.
You just can't do it, and that becomes a massive problem for us as well. We
Alors qu'on
become
s'approche de
massively
la demi-heure de
predictable.
jeu.
I mean, I can't believe that we haven't scored a goal at Old Trafford. I can't believe it.
Mazraoui.
It's mad to me.
Ça revient dans l'axe.
LC says you need to understand that United are a mid-table club. Well, I want to go through your comments, but there was a couple of other things I wanted to say as well. Yeah, we spoke about Brentford.
Il peut y aller.
No striker we spoke about.
Oui, ça pouvait être
Composure.
dangereux. Il fallait
Yeah, composure's a
impérativement
big
l'arrêter.
thing, and we just don't have it. But look, before I go into your comments, I think it's really important to just
Bruno
say
Fernandes.
that we're in a position here that we've been in many times before. And as much as I don't want to say I told you so, it has
duel
been quite
gagné, ballon récupéré.
nauseating after the last game
Il a
against
essayé d'y
Spurs,
aller
where I
seul, mais
said,
sans réussite.
I don't care, I'm not going to change my mind. I'm so fucking fed up today because we were looking to get a draw against a shit Spurs side.
Richarlison.
And I had people going, you're too
Koulibaly.
negative, you're too negative, you know,
La
this is
passe est
just
précise.
moaning for moaning's sake. We are improving, you know, this is better than last season. And look, the reason I said that against
Oui, ça peut
Spurs,
être dangereux.
and the reason some other people said that after Spurs, is because the warning was there. We played
Matheus
shit
Cunha.
against Spurs.
Il allonge.
For 45 minutes, we
Oui,
were
il peut
dreadful.
frapper là.
And Spurs aren't even that good.
Aucun danger
And
pour
the
le
reason I
gardien.
was frustrated is because I
je ne
felt
trouve pas
against
les mots.
Spurs and
Pathétique.
Forest, if we played like we did against Brighton, we would have beat them both. But lo and behold, the fear comes back that we are just
Simons.
inconsistent. And against Forest and
bien,
Spurs,
ça
we
dit.
saw that
C'est
inconsistency.
d'être plus dangereux.
We saw the ability to switch the switch and be shit. And that's what happened. So I'm
Mazraoui.
you know, and what we've seen today is the culmination of that, where we've been, you know, really poor. So yeah, I'm
added minutes has been
devastated,
indicated.
really, and I think that
Et
unfortunately
maintenant chaud.
we're back where we've been
Long ballon
pretty
dans
much
le sens
every
du jeu.
couple of months for the last 10 years, where we're like, this is who we are. This
Le
is who we
tacle
are, and
glissé.
I think the question has to be, how do you change this? You have to stick with
Il s'est
Amrin.
pas ennuyé.
You
On a
have
vu
to
les
hope
buts
that this
et tout
Ineos
reste à jouer en
bullshit
seconde
is true.
période.
But I still
C'était
say,
une première période
and
très
move on very
agréable. On a
quickly,
vu deux buts,
the only way
des
this
occasions,
football club gets
et
back
tout
is with a
reste à
hard
faire dans la
reset.
seconde partie.
It has to change from the top
Un match équilibré
and then
jusqu'à
clear
présent,
out all
avec
those
ce
groups.
jeu partout.
We're not going anywhere relying on Luke Shaw, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes as the leadership team. It's not going to work. Because those three players
seconde
have
période est lancée.
had plenty of games like this. It's just not going to work. We're going to have more of these games, and the question is not what we do from here, it's when the next result like this happens. Will it be Palace? Will it be Wolves? Will it be West Ham? Will it be Bournemouth? You just don't know.
Pourtant, il s'était
You
appliqué
just
sur
don't know.
cette frappe.
And for people saying sack Amrin, I don't know what that does, other than cost us 20 million quid. I don't know what that
Il
does.
essaye de faire la différence
Amrin's
côté
clearly
gauche.
not a terrible coach.
Quelle technique.
Amrin's clearly not incapable of playing a style of football that's nice to watch
Cunha.
and winning games. But no manager is going to make these players play well because they are psychologically
Ça passe à côté d'un
bottomless.
rien.
They
Il a
don't
vu
have it.
l'ouverture et
So,
avec son
you know,
talent sur les
maybe
frappes
sacking
lointaines,
Amrin is
c'est
the way
normal
to
qu'il
go,
tente sa
but I
chance.
guarantee we'll be back here again. Because unless we have owners that are willing to tear it all down and rebuild it, which they're not, this current ownership are not
quoi,
willing to do
sans
that,
maîtrise,
that's why they're
la
briefing
puissance
Romano
derrière.
about renewing Casemiro. I mean, let's not forget, last
c'est bien
24
ça.
hours ago,
La
the
passe
club are
dans la
briefing that they
profondeur.
want to keep Casemiro. And this is why you
Mazraoui.
don't keep Casemiro, because this is why you don't keep Bruno, this is why you
intervention,
don't
ça
keep
pouvait
Luke
créer
Shaw,
danger.
this is why you fucking
Bruno
rebuild.
Fernandes.
You rebuild the club. And they never
Bruno
do it.
Fernandes,
It's always
qui
about
subit
this.
un marquage très serré.
This shows how inept the
Il a le
manager
chip pour
actually
faire
is.
des
As
passes
Clint said,
décisives.
it's a
Il a déjà
huge
prouvé.
embarrassment for Amrin.
peut y aller.
There's no,
super.
we're certainly not going to get me defending him. That's a huge
Fernandes.
embarrassment. I
Eh
think
oui,
if
ça part
any of
bien.
you had been managing, you'd have
C'est
made
joué
different
dans la profondeur.
choices. So Amrin's going to get pelters. Of course he is. Absolutely.
En retrait.
Really, we should be winning this game 3 or 4-0. And everyone should be talking about Idrissa Gueye. No one's really going to talk about that because Everton won anyway. There's something about this system that gets wrong players in wrong positions. Yoro spent so much time on the ball and key crossing positions, says Siraj. Brad says we missed Cunha. We needed someone who could carry the ball and play in tight spaces and would have had the passion to demand more from others, says Brad. Yeah, maybe, but look, you know, are we really saying that we win the game with Cunha? I think that disrespects him. Should have sold Bruno and bought depth. Exactly, give it to me, I completely agree. Why is it teams turn up after bad results, feel like playing well against us? Yes, we're lazy, careless and lacklustre. The players say they care about the fans. Bollocks, we're being cheated, says Tom. We are exactly where we should be, 10th. That's about the position we'll finish season on. In quite a lot of these games, we get into the mental hole that the team don't seem to come off, says Sankin. And also, like, this is European week. We're not in Europe because we're shit. And we're still losing games. This shows how inept the manager is, says Clinton. Can't score against low block, unlike the top 4 teams, says Stephen. We can't keep going into every season needing 7 players and only bringing in 3, says Paul. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, says NSP. Relax, still 7 points above bottom 3, says Camille. Hi Mark, I was at the game, worst performance I've seen at Old Trafford. I'm utterly shocked, 4-hour drive for shit like this, never in my life. As I said, you should get your money back. Exact same team as last year apart from Mbermo, says Zemish. Mount is usually, Ruben's player selection is off, no Cunha and Sesko, allows Bruno and Mbermo as 10s. Amenu Casemiro in midfield, Ahmad right wing back, number 9. No 9, but Mount is usually back up. Clearly player performance is at fault as well, says Rag. Moyes' first win versus United at Old Trafford in 18 years, says Ryan. It's embarrassing. Mark, need to understand United are a mid-table club, says LC. Eric Ten Hag got sacked 1 year ago for being in 10th a year later. We're in the exact same place. He got schooled by Andrew as an atrocious manager. His biggest theme, says Repulse. Took my 7-year-old tonight. What a disgrace. Didn't look like scoring at any time. Bottle job, says Joe. These results are affecting my health. My chest is hurting. I've been waiting for 2 weeks for this. Unbelievable, says Users. I think he's lost the players after tonight, says Inbred. I don't think he's lost the players. We've just been unbeaten for 5 games. I don't know what that's all about, to be honest with you. Any fans here have any hope for the rest of the season after this? Don't think we'll achieve anything. We'll at best finish where we are currently, says GGMU. The annoying thing is that 5th place is there for the taking. And we can't grab it. 5th I've ever saw one. The red card was for plausibility. Can't convince me that professional players are so off their game, says Jerry. How do players wake up, see the table and decide not to show up? It's on them. From manager to the players, disgraceful. So much for a culture change, says Warren. Was Amrim at the game today? There's no excuse, says John. I'm sick to death of a captain that is more focused on crying, shouting at the ref, throwing his arms than leading our team and setting a good example, says Josh. It's Amrim versus his own fans. United fans are sad, says Pizza. Why no Obi on the bench? Great point, funny stuff. If you're trying to establish a new culture, you can't have games like that without contra captains, says Marlow. Yeah, but the thing is, you make a great point again, Marlow. What he'll do on Sunday is pick Casemiro and Bruno again. A light switch again, same every year, says Robert. This may be the game that ends the Amrim era, says R. Mendoza. I am shocked in relation to that. I think I'm going to have to take a bit of time on Amrim because I'm actually shocked. I didn't expect that result, and I didn't expect us to be back here scrutinising Amrim, but we certainly are. This may be the game. I was mad at going to work and watching this game. Now I'm glad at work can't bloody count on them. We don't deserve Champions League football next season playing like this. It's happy life. Ahmad and Burno goes to the AFCON. No January editions were done. And United are briefing that they might not do anything in January. Well done, lads. Amrim's Portuguese bias is killing us, says What's Up Sham. System's flawed, this experiment must stop, says Mitch Sanderson. Shaw, Casemiro and Bruno own over 800k a week and do nothing, says Cooper. Jinxed us last night on That's Football, we all said it, says Extra. No, I don't believe in jinx. I ain't taking responsibility. Predicting Man United to win at home to Everton is not a fucking jinx. I ain't taking responsibility for a bunch of millionaires who can't be Arsenal. Come on. The standards of this club are disgusting. Real Madrid are about to sack Alonso and they're top of the league. Amrim has to go, says Jason. You keep saying he shouldn't have finished the game with 3 centre-backs. Who else was he to bring on? The bench was all defenders and as a kid without debut. Well, that's on him, Aaron. That's on him. Why is Obi not on the bench? Why have we only got 2 fucking strikers? Why were you so determined to get rid of Rasmus when he didn't want to go? Rasmus was willing to stay and fight Sesko, and Amrim said no. So, I'm sorry, mate, on that one, I can't defend Amrim for sticking 3 centre-backs on the team because he can't bring a striker on. I know for a fact Rasmus would have stayed. We know Obi's there as well. That's on him. You know, if he's not thinking, I might need a striker in this game, that's on him. Of course it is. This is just the same old Amrim, has no impact on the team. 6 defensive players on the pitch. Playing Bruno deep is a crime at this point, says Bradley. Allergic to top 4 FC. Ahmad with yet another shocker. Been the same all season, says Michael. This is why Xerxes doesn't play, says Java. I feel sorry for Xerxes. I think there is a case about lack of sharpness. Farrell says, I had to wake up at 4 a.m. from where I'm from to watch that shit. Throwing the game away, points down the drain. I'm worried about the good players losing the mindset. Are United out of the title race, says Harm? Well, we were never fucking in it, but if anyone thought we were. Tiki-taka doesn't work against the low block. You need direct, accurate long ball. McConnor, I think you need to learn about football, mate. You don't need direct long ball against a low block, mate. They're literally playing a low block. Why would you hit a long ball to their goalkeeper? You need to move the ball quickly on the ground. You need technical players. You need people making the right runs. You need to stretch the defence and create space. The worst thing to do against a low block is hit a long ball or put a cross in the box. Flushing crap down the toilet is more exciting than these frauds, says Zoko. I'm speechless, says user HH. What should we expect when Sesko and Cunha are not there? I'm convinced Deitch will be a better coach, says John. I must say he will never be good enough, says GGMU. I have no words. Worst performance I've seen under Amrim, says Andy Cheetham. Quinstar says I've had enough. Amrim has to go. We're trash. And not one good performance tonight. And Osman says, looks like the players are scared of success wherever an opportunity presents themselves. Oh, they'll blame it on the fans, mate. 100% will get the blame for this. This will be the fans. Too much pressure. What pressure? What pressure? Like, you didn't even fucking turn up. No one was booing you. The Stretford end's full of flags. What fucking pressure? The fans are behind you. You just bottlers. Mainu for time was better than Casemiro, says Wilson. When is the manager going to start playing wingers as wing-backs, says Akshay. Amrim doesn't deserve this. He's a club where players have been awful for years, but sack Amrim. It makes no sense. I wouldn't sack Amrim, Pizza, but I don't know where we go from here. I've been saying this all season. Amrim is a fraud, says Dave the Brave. To play 5 at the back against 10 men at home is unforgivable. A serious club would get rid in the morning. It's not going to happen, Dave. Don't worry, guys. At least we're going to have a new stadium in years where we can perform like this time after time, says Mood Maniac. I don't know if you've noticed, but the players just want to leave. Players you want to leave, the same manager wants them to stay. You're sending your complaints to the wrong people, says Hayden. They don't listen to the fans anyway. Gamer King of Kings has gifted 5 memberships. Formation is not the problem, but changing to 4 defenders against 10 men or not doing that is criminal, says Guy. The problem is we have 0 out-and-out leaders, says Baby. Under 18 would have done better, says Jay Victor. And Maolo says, I've supported United for 37 years and that is the worst game at Old Trafford ever. First time we lose against 10 men at Old Trafford, shameful, but I've warned you all for weeks. I mean, that's the thing, Marlo, isn't it? It's how long we played against 10 men and the fact that it was 0-0 and the fact that they scored and the fact that we didn't. It was terrible. United says, don't jinx it. We never win games you're confident to win. We only win when we think we'll lose. You should know this game is going to be when he pulls back with 5 defenders against Everton home. Why is everyone surprised? Luke Shaw in every single game in the second half was terrible. You said play 4-3-3 after their 10 men, but he stuck his way with more possession. Can you say Amrim out? He's rigid and he's got no clues, says John. And I really don't think I'd be at this point, but he has to go. It's a shame. That was clueless. Thank you very much. Okay. I mean, I have to do player ratings. Also, we've got the fan forum to do as well, so I'm wary of just talk. I know Amrim is talking, and I do want to see what he's got to say, so I'll bring it in a minute. But let's just go. I mean, look, fine. I like Lemens, but it's a fine, isn't it? Yoro, fine. Made a big mistake on the goal.
Quel sang-froid quand même pour échapper à la défense et conclure cette action.
Vous pouvez le marquer de près,
De Ligt,
de loin,
5.
seul ou à plusieurs. Lui,
Probably out.
ils s'en
I mean,
fichent.
I'd give
Il
De
s'est
Ligt man of
débarrassé
the
de
match,
tous
but
les
like,
défenseurs
doesn't
avant de
want
marquer
it.
sur ce tir
Luke Shaw,
imparable.
5. Mazraoui,
Oh, c'est
probably
un arrêt
4.
important, ça.
Quelle classe, c'était un arrêt
Casemiro, probably
extraordinaire.
4.5. Bruno, 3. Dorgu, 4. Mbermo, 5. Ahmad, 5. Xerxes, 5. Mbermo, 5. Sorry, Mainu, 5.
Guardiola.
Delo,
Et le ballon qui est remis dans l'axe.
Mason Mount, 5.
La passe en retrait
Amrin
vers son
2.
défenseur.
You know,
Mbappé.
and De Ligt gets man of the match, which doesn't.
Ça joue bien côté gauche, il faut insister.
Just get it.
Et ça n'arrivera pas assez précis.
I don't want to. I mean,
Il voit sa passe interceptée.
Je crois qu'il s'est trahi
I
avec
sort
le
of agree
petit
with what a
regard à
lot of
son
people are saying,
coéquipier là, juste
in the
avant la
sense
passe.
that not one player's had
McTominay.
an average game against Everton at home when they're playing against 10 men. I can't understand that. In the first
Une
20
intervention
minutes,
virile,
we
mais
didn't play
correcte,
very
comme on
well.
dit.
But when it goes to 10 men, I would expect performances
De
to go
Bruyne.
up. You know, that's the thing I can't
Bien
get my head
joué dans
around. Like,
l'espace.
I've played the game. I've played the game.
C'est
And
intercepté, attention.
when you're playing against 10 men,
Ils ont beau être
you know
menés
you're
au
going to get
score,
more
on sait
space.
qu'ils ont le potentiel
You can
pour
take a
revenir
little bit
dans ce
more time
match.
on your passes. You know, you can be a little bit more adventurous in your runs because they're not going to attack as much. The fact that nobody
Hernandez.
improved their performance is incredible. I mean, look, most of you know
Cherche la
football,
profondeur.
most of you played
La
football,
passe dans la
and most of
profondeur.
you will know that when you play against
Il
10
met la
men,
tête.
it means more time,
Joli tir,
it
ça
means
méritait
you can
d'aller au
take
fond.
more risks.
Eh ben, dis donc, c'était
And it
chaud.
means that there's no excuse. Like there's no excuse to have a bad game, and every single player has had a bad game, and that is, you know, incredible. And I think we are at that point now where we literally cannot predict Man United games. We can't do it. You need to stop saying Bruno is our best player, he's a joke, as a number 10 or as a pivot midfielder, he's a bad captain. I still think
Peut-être une
Mystify.
occasion pour Messi.
Um,
Allez, c'est dangereux.
I still think Mystify that it's.
Et ils obtiennent un corner.
As a 10, he'd still be a good player for us. But honestly, where do you think we
Ce sera
go
le
from here,
premier
Mark?
corner
And
du
that's the
match.
question, Roller. I'll
c'est
be on the
joué
morning
court.
show at 10 o'clock.
Tente
I
sa
need to.
chance.
I don't know what I'm going to say on the 10 o'clock show.
Le gros
I might
dégagement.
wake up tomorrow and say, I think Aaron's going to have to go. I might wake up tomorrow and say, nothing's ever going to change, what's the point? And I might wake
Il
up
ne
tomorrow and
résiste
say,
pas, ballon perdu.
you know, that
McTominay
ownership
qui est
thing from
sanctionné
Dubai
pour cette
needs to
faute.
happen. I don't because this result shouldn't have happened.
McTominay qui
And
va
didn't
échapper
even
ce
happen
coup-là
in
au
a way where
carton,
you
mais
can
la
go,
prochaine fois, l'arbitre n'hésitera pas.
Il va peut-être
And
falloir
that,
lui parler
to
parce
me,
qu'il ne peut
when you're
pas
paying all
continuer
that
comme ça.
money,
À la
and
prochaine
forget the money,
faute,
when
ce
you're
sera
wearing a Man
carton.
United shirt and you perform like that, you know, the thing
Et le
is,
gardien qui avait bien anticipé.
we get feedback from players and representative of players about
Peut-être une occasion pour
team
Hazard.
negative, this, that and the other.
Il y a peut-être un coup à
And my
jouer.
answer is always, if you
Il
perform,
centre,
you get
attention.
praise, and if you play shit, you won't. And I've got no sympathy, I've got no loyalty to these players. You know, the Beckhams and the Giggs and the Scholes and the Cantonars and the Hugheses and the
Et le
Irwins,
6 mètres
they
directement
have
sur lui.
loyalty. You have loyalty to those players because they've given you a shirt. And they might have a bad
Le
game,
ballon
but
dans la
you know,
profondeur.
they've given it. I've got no loyalty
Dommage
to
qu'il
these
n'ait pas
players. I
levé
can't
la
trust these
tête. Il
players.
aurait sans doute pu
I
trouver un
can't
coéquipier
predict what these
démarqué.
players are going to do. That is a horrible thing. It's like being in a marriage with somebody you don't trust. How can you be happy? How can you build for the future?
On voit
I
quand même
can't
de
trust
bonnes
you.
phases de pressing.
I don't
Ah, et
trust
pour
these
presser,
players.
ça presse,
They
les
are,
attaquants ne
they
ménagent pas
are,
leurs
they
efforts.
are wearing
Faudrait
the
pas qu'ils
shirt
ne
of the
payent dans
club
leur
I love, but I
lucidité face au
do
but.
not trust them. I do not trust them.
C'était un bon mouvement d'attaquant,
So I
mais
don't
il
know
n'a
where we
pas
go
pu
at the
frapper.
moment, Roller. I haven't seen United break down a low block comfortably in 10 years.
De Bruyne.
This is Simon. We're clueless. Vibe light switch players. That gone down, that midfield just seems to be empty. And you know what,
Messi.
Neo? We do
Messi.
ourselves a misservice as fans because we try to pretend that billionaire Sir Jim
Il
Radcliffe
reste
and
encore un
billionaire
peu de temps pour
Glazers
tenter
know
d'égaliser
more
avant
than
la
we
mi-temps.
do. And
L'arbitre signale une faute.
I genuinely don't think they do. I don't. I don't think Ruben Amorim came into this football club and studied the problems that Eric Ten Hag had. And I don't think Sir Jim Radcliffe really is a lifelong Man United fan like
Ça
you
se
are.
joue à pas grand-chose.
And we've spoken about the midfield. Casemiro doesn't have the legs and he's 34 in a couple of months. Bruno Fernandes is never a midfielder, and that's our starting midfield in the Premier League. In the Premier League, we're starting a midfield that doesn't work, and every fan knows it. And yet we do it every week. You know, forget about Mainu and Ugarte. Why is he picking Bruno and Casemiro as a midfield too, week in, week out? It didn't work in the second half against Forest, it didn't work against Spurs, and it didn't work today. It doesn't work. Anyway, this is what Amrim had to say, and then we'll get over to the fan forum. Ruben Amrim on whether he's surprised by the result, of course, but I said in many occasions that I understand we have a lot to do, but I'm frustrated with the way we played, especially at home, and understanding what happened this weekend with the other clubs. Looking at the table and everyone falling, and the way we presented from the first minute is really frustrating. Really frustrated, like any other person that supports Man United. The way we started the game, the way we didn't understand how we should play against 10 men. They deserve to win. Even suffering with 10 men was normal. We had a lot of chances, but the quality and decision making was not there. The understanding of every situation of the game was not there, and the quality in the box and near the box. The most important thing is the intensity. You can feel it right away when we start the game in the first minute. You can feel when we're at the top level of intensity, and we're not. And then when we are, we cannot win in this way. So basically what he's saying is, we're not there, we're not even close to where we need to be. What he's basically saying is, these players have a low IQ, and you have been saying that for ages. Low IQ players who don't know what to do against 10 men. That's what you got. That's what you've got. Anyway, let's go over to the fan forum. I'm sure they've got a lot to say. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you tune in at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I will have my decision on where we go from here. For now, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm shocked. I'm just utterly fed up. We are not. We might be out of Europe again next year. I mean, there's a very big chance we will. Get used to this shit. Get used to this shit, basically. Speak to you in a bit. You can put that in the live chat. Get used to this shit. Spam him with that. Take care.
Mateusz Kuna. Et ça n'arrivera pas assez précis.
For you, and it can be like therapy, and we can all come together and make ourselves feel better about this performance. Look, losses happen in football, draws happen, you know, games where you don't play very well happen, but I'll start with you, Maud. We are joined with Maud, Jordan and Ricky, by the way. Thank you guys for joining us. I'll start with you. Is it ever acceptable to lose in that way at Old Trafford?
Never. I don't think anyone in their right mind would say that's acceptable. That's an insane way of putting it. I think that before the game, most of us, I think maybe only Ricky was the only one who said that we might not win. I think it was a draw. But the majority of people who I spoke to, and obviously, you know, here at United stand, predicted a win. And a lot of people were predicting a pretty comfortable win as well. And for us to go and lose in that manner against 10 men for the majority, I think we were 8. They went down 10 men in the 13th minute, so we were playing for literally the majority of the game against 10 men. And not at one point did it look like we had more players. There wasn't one point in that game I thought, oh, Everton is struggling, you know. Like Everton clearly have one less player. I was trying to find the missing piece in Everton's team. I was trying to think, what position in Everton's team right now are they missing a player? Is it a midfielder? Is it a defender? Is it an attacker? Throughout that whole game, or throughout the whole time that they had 10 men, they looked like they even had more players than us. We looked like we were the man down. And that's just appalling. Like, we're going to get into the manager and certain players, but in general, you should never be playing against 10 men at home and it looks like you're the one who could play you down. That's a horrible performance.
Yeah, and it felt like it was a domino effect. People will pick out different players, but I mean, it's hard to even point out a player that played well today. You can maybe point out one or two that played half decent, but it was a domino effect. The whole team was infected by this. It felt like international break happened. I mean, the performances before the international break weren't great, let's be honest. But it felt like the international break happened. I mean, when both teams had 11 men, they were still better than us. But we got handed on a plate an opportunity to go and put in a dominant performance and secure a place in the top 4. And I know it's early days, but it was a really good opportunity, especially after some big team season. And we looked like we didn't know how to play football. It was absolutely appalling, from the manager to the 11 that were on the pitch, and then the players that came on didn't really have much of an impact either. But Jordan, what do you think it is? Well, first of all, you're one of the people that's come up and travelled. I mean, everyone who is watching this game is going to be frustrated. But I am really, really frustrated, personally, with the people that have to travel all this way to come and support their team and pay a lot of money. And that's what you see. Slow, lethargic, towards the end, look like we're giving up, honestly. And how do you feel, and why do you think it's happening?
Yeah, it's one step forward, two back, isn't it? And during the international break, I was the one that I posted the next 10 fixtures into our WhatsApp group. I was like, come on, guys, how many points? And you start looking at the fixture, oh, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. And I think the majority of us were like, yeah, Everton at home, we'll beat those. And suddenly, you now, after that game, look at the next 9 fixtures and go, oh, God, it could be more of the same. And it is the hope that kills you. I honestly thought after the international break, we'd come back like we did against Liverpool last time round, have regrouped and pick up 3 points home at Old Trafford. And it just doesn't happen, and we continue and have done under manager after manager to struggle against a low block. I don't know what it is. And I was saying to the guys before we went live, there was a guy next to me, I don't know him, and Everton went down to 10 men, and he sort of laughed and went, oh, they might as well just give us the 3 points now. And I said to him, it's probably the worst thing that could happen, because we struggle against the low block anyway. If they put the 9 players behind the ball, we're definitely going to struggle. And that's exactly what happens. And at no point, like Mo had said, did it feel like they want to play it down. They worked twice as hard as we did to make up for that deficit. And while they were, Grealish, again, outstanding, was able to pick the ball up, run 20, 30 yards and take the pressure off of them. And at no point did we really threaten them. To finish the game with that many defence-minded players on the pitch, again, for me, it's just criminal. Our decision-making during the game, poor, in-game management, poor, and it is a huge cocktail of all the things that have gone wrong. And like Mo said, for me, it gives me that same feeling as Grimsby. It's just another low point, and the manager just really doesn't help himself.
I was about to say, I mean, we spoke a little bit off there, but I'll say it on air as well. For me, I feel worse now than I did after the Grimsby game. I honestly do. This is the most annoyed I've been in a very, very long time. I think this is the most annoyed I've been since Amorim's been in charge. And we've lost 3-1. We've lost against City. We've lost games. We've lost games in a really bad fashion. But this one today, 1-0 against Everton at Old Trafford. Everton are a good side. I'm not saying, you know, the walkovers, because they're not. They've got some good players. Some players that are better than ours in certain positions. But 1-0 at Old Trafford on a Monday night, and not even a glimmer of hope throughout the game. We could have played till Christmas and we wouldn't have scored a goal. Nothing that affected the game in any way. The lack of intensity, the lack of care. To me, it kind of, the penny dropped today for me. That if a manager doesn't come out against Ruben Amorim, don't know what to do. If a manager doesn't come out and come at us, and we have space in behind, doesn't have a plan B. If a manager decides to sit back a little bit, and yeah, okay, David Moyes did play pragmatic, and which is what you're going to do to try and get the win, no second option, and it's worrying for me because teams are going to play like that against us, and we can't deal with it. I'm just fuming. Grimsby, there was loads of individual errors. Anana in goal was a shocker. Today, the whole team was absolutely terrible, and the manager couldn't have any impact on the game whatsoever. Ricky, to you, sometimes, you know, you can kind of take off your angry side and look at it and maybe be a little bit more, what's the word that you would describe it? A little bit more calmer. Yeah, and look at both sides. I mean, are you really frustrated tonight? I mean, how are you feeling?
I am frustrated. I was impressed with our little run that we put together of 5 unbeaten, and you know, people were sort of laughing at me when we went to, well, not laughing at me, but when we went to Spurs and before the game, I said I'd take a draw. I didn't expect us to be lead. I think we were leading with 6 minutes to go, weren't we? And it ended up in a draw. So obviously, when when there's only 6 minutes to go and you're leading, you wouldn't take the draw. You want to win it, but you know, the away draw with a late goal at Forest, the away draw with a really late goal at Spurs, that was all right. That was all right, especially on the back of 3 wins and a nice little run building there with 5 5 wins, 5 games undefeated, and climbing the league. And I've got to be honest. Coming into that game today, you asked us all for our predictions of the score, and I was the only one who put on there that we wouldn't win. I put 2-2, but I'll be dead honest. Deep down, I thought we would beat them. I just don't like predicting United to win, because you've got egg on your face when it doesn't come off. Deep down, I did think we would win tonight, even though I predicted a draw. And
Even amongst us.
I was really expecting to the bare minimum that we would, because even if we'd have drawn, we would now be. I mean, you'd have took that, wouldn't you, with a few minutes ago? Even if we'd have drawn, we'd now be sat here 6. We'd be 6 games undefeated, and I would be turning that, because you would still be moaning like mad. You know, drawing with Everton with 10 men, we would still be moaning like mad. And I'd be saying, let's look on the bright side, 6 games unbeaten now, do you know what I mean? But I can't even say that, and I'm distraught, to be honest.
And look, I'm distraught. Kind of going back onto what you said, Beth, about, and even Jordan, about how, you know, the way we play isn't sustainable. It's not. We're not able to play a good way of football, a positive way of football, consecutive, you know, on a consecutive basis, like game after game after game, consistently. Like, we're not able to do that. And the thing is, looking at hindsight's a great thing, innit? Because in the moment, like Ricky said, we're all happy. When we beat Liverpool, beating Brighton, everything's all positive. 5 games unbeaten. We're watching United strong, thinking now he's going to cut his hair. Like, everything's all nice. But looking back at hindsight now that we've lost, like, these results, they're not all confident results. We didn't beat all these teams very well. Liverpool we struggled. Like I said, just about Liverpool are rubbish, and we still struggle to beat them. But the Forest game, the Spurs game, like, we have. It's not been a comfortable 5 games unbeaten, and these kinds of things, they come to bite you back eventually. And look at the Brighton
3-2 at one point.
Exactly. We played well, and all of a sudden it was like, all of a sudden something's clicked, and we're back to the old. I say the old United. It's like United from the start of the season, where whenever the Grimsby times, and we're back to that form. And look, the way I look at it, I've seen a stat here, and I've got it even. I think after the first goal or the red card, I've got this stat, and it's. United's results when we have more than 50% and lower than 50% possession. When we have 50% or more possession, just 23 games, our points per game is 0.83, so we're more likely to get a draw or lose than we are to win. When we have under 50%, our points per game is 1.79. It's over double. We are more likely to win the game when we don't have control. And that's a terrible start.
How long is that going back, Mark? It sounds like there's quite a lot of fixtures in there.
That's this season.
You said 23 games there, didn't you?
Games played, 23, 5.
Oh, it's in all competitions.
Yeah.
Man, you only played one League Cup game. No, it must go back.
As of November 2025, I don't know how far back it's gone, but let's just say the last 23 games.
It must go back into last season.
Yeah. So whatever it is, going back, however far it is, I think there's probably a lot of, you know, well, 23 games plus 14, so that's 37 games, that's 37 games.
So it's going back into
last season, so it's beyond twice as likely, we would double the amount.
Much more likely to win when we're not in control of the game.
When we're not in control of the game. To me, that's a poor start, because that means our style of play doesn't reward us winning games.
Some managers, so I've heard plenty of managers say, we feel as though we are in control of the game when we haven't got the ball.
But the teams,
I bet David Moyes felt like that tonight.
Are the teams that are actually winning most games saying that? Because if you look at the teams that are actually successful,
they keep the ball better.
They keep the ball better. And that's just a fact. I know people are going to say certain teams here and there might play counter-attacking football and it works for them, but they're not the teams that you want to be like. You don't want to be like those teams. You want to be
the very best teams all keep the ball better, but then with all the rest of the teams, they seem to do better when they haven't got the ball.
And that's just it's common sense though. You want to be. People say that, City play long to Haaland and they're changing the way they play. No, they're not. They only do that like here and there. The reality is, for the most of the game, they're still holding the ball. Same with Arsenal. Same with even Chelsea this season. And you can say the same for Liverpool at some points. They've been terrible like now, but last season it was the exact same thing as well.
And it'd be so real. Today, it was like torture. Watching it break down. Pass after pass after pass. Couldn't string more than 4 passes together. It was torturous. I genuinely, I couldn't believe they were playing with 10 men because they swarmed us every time we had the ball. Anywhere it was on the pitch, they had more players than us. Nobody was coming to help out. The positional awareness was so poor. And then what annoyed me the most is we would be patient in the build-up, dilly-dallying about with it, with centre-backs that are just passing it between themselves. Nobody was there to break the lines. No, whenever there was good movement, like when Mount came on, he made good movement. When Mbeumo made good movement, nobody could find them because they just didn't have that pass in them. It's not like nobody trusted themselves to thread that pass through. And then when we did try a risky pass, it was the most awful pass or bad decision that I've genuinely seen. It was like, honestly, it felt like the players had just gone to bed and forgot how to play football. And I know we're not the best at keeping the ball, like you said, but today was really, really poor. And I just think to myself, I really don't know what it is. Is it pressure? Is it the fact that when you're down to 10 men, you feel like you should win the game, you have to win the game at Old Trafford, and then it gets to you? Or are the players just not good enough? Is it the way that we're set up with the 3 centre-backs? Is there not enough attacking players there? When David Moyes has decided to sit in, I couldn't work it out, but our passing, like you said there, was absolutely atrocious. And I actually saw a stat when I was in the game, and I'm trying to get it now because I really want to bring it in. But it was something like in the past, how many other games, when we're losing at half-time, we don't win. We either draw or lose. And is that a mentality thing? When you're already down in the first half, it gets into the players' heads that I don't know what it is, because to have that stat go against you, it really just thinks, are you giving up on the game early? I don't know. We have had some good comeback wins, but just not convincing one bit.
I think, for me, Everton didn't do anything they didn't know they were going to do under Moyes. Like, that is a Moyes side. You expect that when he was at West Ham, when he was at Everton before. You know what to expect from his team and what he demands of his team. But I just want to talk about the team selection. And we discussed it in the countdown to kick-off, and I'm saying, like, for me, I thought he would have started Ahmad at wing-back. Our wing-backs, I can't even say, I'm not stressed, I can't even say wing-backs. Our wing-backs are so pivotal to this system. And for me, Ahmad is probably the only player that we've got that can play that position correctly. And when you then take him out and put him into a 10, when we've got other players that potentially can play the 10, it just leaves us so exposed. Like, you've got Dorgu playing like he'd been Winter Wonderland and forgot to take his ice skates off. He couldn't stay on his feet. At every opportunity, he just ended up hitting turf. Mazzoli, for me, it just doesn't work there for me as a wing back. It's an area we have to address. Like, it's such a specialist position, and to just throw players in there and go, that's all right, we'll get away with it. We did not get away with it.
And this is what frustrates me about Amorim, and I'm going to bring you guys in on this as well, because I wanted to move on to the wing-back thing. This is what frustrates me about Amorim. You don't have the wing-backs there, and I've got to hold my hands up, because I actually said in the count on to kick off I would have played Mazzari there because of Ndiaye and Grealish and the threat that they have. And you've seen they bullied us multiple times throughout the game. But for me especially, when you go down to 10 men, make the change. Bring Mazzari off, put Abdic right wing back and bring Mason Mount on. Make the change, but he didn't have it in him to make the change in the first half. And then he brings on Dallo for Dorgu, and Dorgu wasn't good at all. But again, he's not on his preferred foot. It's harder to get delivery into the box. He was basically useless on that left-hand side. Let's be honest, I mean, I know Dorgu wants to go. But you bring Dallo on, who's not in good form. It isn't on his preferred foot. When you could just go to a back four and play Luke Shaw, who's the best left-footed crosser in the team. But you're so stubborn that you won't actually change to a back four. And Ricky, I'll bring you on this, because you were speaking to me a little bit, and you have a theory, not a theory, because we know Ruben Amorim does love his system and he's married to it, but you'd be a bit worried about us maybe going for that ball, right?
As fans, I'm sure it's the same at most clubs. I'm definitely not, because I know thousands of United fans, hundreds of United fans, overrate the players that are playing for it. And if you look at Everton's 2 centre-backs tonight, and I know we've had backs against the wall performances, but Harry Maguire's important for us in backs against the wall performances, as is De Ligt. But everyone's raving about our centre-backs. They're not better than Everton's centre-backs. They're not better than Crystal Palace's centre-backs. I'm not even talking about the best. And I'm not going to say they're miles worse, but why are we raving about them? So here's the thing. Everton are only playing with 2 centre-backs. Now, I know our manager always played with 3 centre-backs, so I can't level this at him. But most managers who play 3 centre-backs, it's usually because they don't think they've got 2 centre-backs who are good enough to do the job. Put 3 in there, they feel like they've got a little bit more cover, you know, obviously a little bit more strength. You've got 3 people. Let's be honest, you've got 3 people doing the jobs that 2 men do for most teams, right? And one of ours is Luke Shaw, by the way, who's a fullback, really. And then we have Yoro and De Ligt usually, don't we? Sometimes Maguire is fit. But the point is this. I believe if Yoro and De Ligt were Everton's 2 centre-backs tonight, I think we'd have battered them. I think we'd have won about 4-1. The difference of how they play, how strong their centre-backs are. We're raving about our centre-backs, and I don't think they're even in the... They might not be in the top 10 in the league. And where are we, by the way? 11th, are we? Only 10th or 11th? No, you know, we love our own players. I get that. Fans are going to do that. Everton have caught us up, by the way.
We're 10th.
Yeah, we're 10th, but Everton have got the same amount.
Same points as Liverpool.
Yeah, so, you know, look, the players are not... I think we've been down this road for years. I've been telling you for years. The players are not as good as what we think they are.
I'm going to bring in these super chats and I want to carry on that conversation. So I've got a question I want to ask you, but I want to involve the community who is watching. I mean, over 10,000 of you watching after a horrendous game on a Monday night. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for getting your comments in. Smash like on the video if you've not already. We really do appreciate you doing the therapy forum with us. Marlow United said, Bruno, the worst captain in United history. A joke. He's very upset, but we will talk about Bruno for sure.
I want to say something about that.
Do you want to say it now?
To say it now, yeah. First half, and it was right across the field from where I was sat. You'll remember it. The keeper went to kick a ball out, so it was the first half, probably 20 minutes in. It comes to our keeper in his own box, and he tries to drill a pass low to somebody near the halfway line, and one of their players cut it out about 35 yards from our goal. And Bruno turned to the keeper and went like that, as if to say, launch it. And I thought to myself, shut it. I want to strangle him. Because if that pass, I know the pass doesn't reach its man, but if the pass reaches his man, he won't turn to the keeper and try to launch it. It's like no matter what you get wrong, Bruno will say, you should have done something else. Do you understand what I mean? He got it wrong, but it's something they tried, and you can't just say you should have knocked that one long. Do you understand what I mean? Sometimes you're going to try a short pass or a long pass or a low pass, and sometimes you're going to knock it long. He's not going to knock it long. I know I've spoke about how good he is at knocking it long. He's not going to knock every ball long. And we're playing against 10 men with supposed to be space. And he tells him, I don't mind him saying, if he was to say to him, you know, take a touch there, you'll get a better pass off, or you know, something a bit constructive. But just to say, knock it long. What does he actually mean by that? Does he mean knock it long every time you get it? You know, what's he saying to him? Oh, it's to strangle him.
Well, you didn't want to strangle him, Ricky. You're not a violent man. Everyone knows that. You wanted to have stern words with him.
Stern words with him.
Anthony Tracy says James Garner and McTominay could have been in our midfield, would have done a better job. Rob McCormack says Barry won more aerial duels than anyone this season. Barry, their centre forward, who, by the way, looked like he could bulldoze through our defence with about 2 touches. Abdul says Yoro, Ahmad ignored easy threaded passes to Mbumo. Yep. Beaver Sant says 4:30am in India, watching hoping we could win, but the players putting this performance against 10 men. Pathetic and awful, still can't sleep. Hasha says the bad feeling is back, 1 point from the next 3 now. Kevin United said, Beth, please stop with the Bruno is still our best player. Keogh Robinson said, as I said, Amorim is a chancer riding his luck. Grant Collins said, nothing through the middle, too predictable playing to the side. Bench Bruno, start man at 10, no predators in the box, missed the days of first-time shots. Themselves Wise says, honestly, this just hurts so much more because we thought we were actually onto something, but it's back to normal settings. I suppose it's embarrassing. David B 50113 says, how have we got 2 unused subs against 10 men at home? It's baffling. New signings and Ahmad taking over the cracks this season. Rob McCormack says, Kieran Dewsbury Hall was outstanding. Grealish is different class. Yeah, I agree with you, Robert. Grealish was absolutely ridiculous. EG4 says, Beth was giving justification as to why starting 5 defenders should be the way against Everton, you know. This fan base deserves Amorim. EG, I tell you one thing, I get it, and hindsight is 2020. but the man sent off in the 13th minute. I would not have kept 5 defenders on for the whole game. I wouldn't have done that. I would have changed it when it goes down to 10 men. That's what I would have done. But you're entitled to your opinion, I suppose. Clinton Hughes says nobody cannot see that the manager is inept tonight. Tom Grant says every player should apologise, get used to this. Kawa said 2 defensive for the line-up to start the game, winning second balls and simple passes should be in training every day. Anthony Tracy says not a surprise, we're still a counter-attack team. Kevin United says, why can't Amorim see that Bruno is the problem, or is it because we don't have anyone else he keeps playing for him? Well, I think that I mean, Bruno was, I'm one of Bruno's biggest fans, he was super poor tonight, he should have been subbed, but who would you have brought on? That's a question I mean we should talk about maybe. Orange Purple 7 says, I have a conspiracy, all of this was scripted. No, it wasn't. Mr. McCreed says, well, wasn't that awful? I need to throw in a swear word in there as well. Wasn't that effing awful, he says, and I feel you on that one. But with the... I mean, I want to continue talking about the wing-backs, but I'll come back to Bruno because he could have been subbed tonight, and in my opinion, it would have benefited way more if he would have made the right subs player for player, but we'll get on to that. I want to continue on the wing-backs just while we're speaking it. We're going to speak a little bit about Amorim as well. I mean, people say the lineup was too defensive, and I hear that, but I mean, Everton just bullied us everywhere. They just looked more physical than us, stronger than us. It genuinely did look like men against boys at times. So I don't know what much. I don't honestly. Amorim just couldn't find a matchup, but I want to ask this about the wing-backs because Hayden, my brother, sent me this and I wanted to ask you guys this question. He said, one of our biggest issues is that our full-backs are... full-backs are a bigger issue than midfield for us, in my opinion. Midfield is crap too, but full-backs are the worst. I'd rather sign Munoz from Palace than Baleba. Thoughts on that? Do you think Munoz from Palace would be a better signing for United than Baleba?
I'll tell you what I do think. Out of Mazraoui, Dorgo and Dalot, Dalot's the best easily. I'll tell you what I do think. And he's without a doubt. Waste of time, Dorgo. Mazraoui is a centre-back, he's just too clunky. So I know Dalot come on and he played on the left, like you said, and he's not left foot. Oh, did you see what happened, by the way? Literally, like the last 2 minutes. Dalot on the right and Shaw on the left. That's how it finished. If you watch it
for about a minute.
Literally. I mean, I know it's nothing, but what's the point? If he thinks, as I'm always saying, put Dalot on the right, even if he does it for 2 minutes, why did he do it for longer?
Yeah, it's too stubborn.
You know what I mean? Why don't you just do it for longer? He's half right on the right. He's not left-footed, but then, you know, Dorgu is left-footed, and that's the only reason why he gets in above him on the left. You know, Dalot's a better player, though, but he's right-footed. Get him on the right. Yeah. And I saw your message, Beth, as well about Ahmad on the left, but Ahmad was playing as a number 10 in the first half.
It wasn't working.
It wasn't working, but I'd like to see him play left wing-back. And Dalot right. Ahmad's left-footed. In the last 2 minutes, he goes with Dalot on the right and Shaw on the left. That's a right footer on the right and a left footer on the left. Why not try it for half a game? Dalot on the right and Ahmad on the left. Now then, Ahmad's crossing today not that they were all terrible crosses, but if that's the penalty area and there's the goals and they're defending across it, they're coming in like that. They're so easy to head away. We need to get crosses in like that instead of like that. And about 4 times it drifted over everybody and went out for a goal kick. We've got to stop. We've literally got to stop putting crosses in from this position just outside the box or near, you know, a bit deeper with the left foot. We've got to try and get an arc on it, and Ahmad's left-footed. It's never going to happen.
It absolutely drives me around the bend when I'm watching players like Ahmad, who is brilliant out wide. Like when he's playing in 4-3-3, he's a right winger going down the right wing. In the system, wing back, pretty going down the wing. When he's got space in front of him, it drives me mad seeing him cornered in this pocket of space where he's not even on his best foot in that position. It really, really did my head. If you are going to play more on the left, I would rather him out wide, like you said. And you have players like Mazraoui and Dorgu who have got their own strengths, but they're not good at crossing the ball. in the best areas to consistently cross the ball, and then you have the best crosses in the team in areas where they're not in the best positions to cross the ball.
Mazraoui in the first half, they must have put him into a dangerous position 4 or
Everton didn't even
5
go
times.
back.
And it wasn't even, it was just coming in dead low, straight to the first
Can't beat the first man. Constantly can't beat
And
the
Everton
first
just
man.
left him.
Do you know what it is? Again, I'm saying, like, some of our best attacking football has been through the link-up between Ahmad and Bruno.
Yeah.
So when he's got space to run into, the overlap and whatnot. And what you're then missing by taking him out of a wing-back and putting him into the 10, like you're saying, it's the domino effect to the entire performance. And back to your question about what's priority. If I'm Amrin, I'm looking at my system that I believe in, that I'm willing to die for. I know how important wing-backs are. He needs to go inside, like thoroughbred, out-and-out wing-backs that can actually deliver the system. Otherwise, he's going to lose his job.
Munoz would be class.
I feel like with this, and this, like I said before, this kind of just all goes back to the same conversations we had back in the Grimsby, Burnley, them kind of times, Fulham days. How many of our players are we seeing in their best position? It's the same question we asked before. I'm genuinely...
Actually, it's a really good point.
It's the same thing. Every single conversation we're having right now is about players, good players. Dama's a great player. You know, I think Mbeumo's a great player. We also spoke about Bruno, we spoke about Mazraoui, we spoke about all these players, good players. But the problem that we're constantly going on and on and on about is why they're playing in a particular position which is not favouring them. You said the same thing about Dalot. You think Dalot's obviously a good player, but your problem is the fact that he's playing decent. I just think he's better to say is, but he's just playing in the wrong position. And again, it just comes down to the manager. Let's just have an honest conversation. All these problems that we're having, it's not even to do with the players. And that's why I don't even really want to complain too much about the players, because next week we'll be back saying that this guy had a great game and he's the top 10 defender in the league and he's this and he's that. Because all these players have the ability to play well. Every single one of them, they all have the ability to have a good game. We've seen them all have numerous good games. I mean, obviously you said that Everton defenders are better than United defenders, which, you know, it's a fair opinion.
There's nothing to choose.
There's nothing to choose from, but somebody could make a very strong argument to say that De Ligt is one of the best centre-backs in the league this season. You can make a strong argument that Yoro was sought after by Madrid. You know, at one point last season, he was clear one of our best centre-backs last season. So we've seen him be able to...
That's your opinion.
My opinion, but a lot of people are saying it though. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 people. A lot of people are saying that Yoro last season...
I always, you know what I'm like, I always have a proper good look at somebody, and the first few games I watched him play last season, I thought he's okay. That's all I thought.
That's fair enough. I'm not even going to go against your opinion. I'm saying in general, a lot of our players have the ability to play well. So now to ask ourselves the question, why is the majority of them not playing well?
Can I bring something up about the centre-back? Sorry, John. This thing about Yoro, there's a few people saying to me, why don't you rate Yoro? Look, we want to try to win the Premier League. We want to try to get into the Champions League and make a serious effort at winning the Champions League. Now, how old is Yoro? Is he 19? He's a 19-year-old boy and he's playing in the Premier League and he's doing okay. That's a huge thing. That's a huge accomplishment. He's doing really, really well. So I'm not saying he's crap or anything like that, but that is also a long way short of being a player that can win the Premier League or the Champions League. But just by being able to play and do okay in the Premier League at 19 is a compliment. It's a compliment. The kid's a good footballer. But he's not Gabriel or Saliba. He's not Van Dijk season. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not sure he ever will be, by the way. You know, them players, special players. Special players.
But is he expected to at 19? Because at 19 I was on the piss at Magaluf.
No, but what I'm saying, Jordan, is I'm not sure he ever will be. The things that he's got wrong with his game, I mean, he's only young, but he's not quite strong enough. The way that kid took the ball past him to score tonight was far too easy. It's far too easy.
I mean, with Yoro, I think he's got bags of ability, but I kind of understand Ricky's point in the fact that we're relying on players now that are for the future, and is our team now in every position capable to compete with the top teams that we want to be competing with? And you'd arguably say Mbeumo, yeah. Mbeumo is, without a doubt, in my opinion. Me and Ricky disagree on this, but I think De Ligt is good enough. You would disagree. and then you search around the rest of the team and struggling. Bruno in the right position, in that position, no.
You don't think the list is good enough to get us European football, Champions League football?
Yeah, it could perhaps get us Champions League football, but we want the absolute creme de la creme. He isn't half the player Gabriel is. He isn't half the player Saliba is.
I think it's hard.
I know, bit by bit, we've got to get there. Bit by bit, we've got to get there. And at the minute, he's easily good enough to be in our team, and he has some good games, and he's strong, and he's brave, he puts his body on the line, and like I just said, he's doing really well in the Premier League. He's doing well for us. You know, we're still 11th, aren't we, or whatever we are, 10th, and that's not his fault. But he's not just him. We seem to think all of our players are good enough, or most of the players are good enough to get us into this position that we want to be in. And hardly any of them are.
I think back to what Maud said, is why are these players not playing in their best positions? And it's again it does come back to the system, regardless of whether you want to hear or not. The manager's got one system, and he hasn't got a players to play the system he wants to play. So when it's square pegs and round holes, he's looking at it going, well, this is how I'm going to play. I haven't got a player that is an out-and-out for that position, so I'm going to make this player do this job. And then they get exposed in certain games, and this is why some games we'll get away with it, and then other games we won't. And that's why it's one step forward, two steps back, and we're back to where we are again tonight.
I want to run a poll. Would you rather sign a world-class wing-back or a world-class midfielder right now? Let's see what you guys say. A world-class wing-back, world-class midfield. I think I know which way it's going to tip, but they're both really huge issues for us right now. I mean, the amount of times we have the ball on the wide positions, and my friend who I sit with at United said to me, if we actually had half-decent players in them positions, they'd have so many assists by now. Yeah. But it comes to them every time and the attack breaks down because they can't put crossing the box.
What I would say is that yes, we need both, but in terms of priorities, we've got players that can play at wing-back. In wing-back, when I look in central midfield,
yeah, I mean, get your votes in. We've got Carlo Montana saying more than half the team are not top 5 Prem players, more than half the team. That's actually at the end. I'm going to go around the starting 11 and I'll go each player by player. We'll play this game. Thank you very much, Carlo, and we'll say if you think they're good enough for a top 5 team, and we'll go through it. Kai says Beth is right. Semenyo should be our top priority. We have to look at him in general. I don't think he should be our top priority, but I think for that really he's got to look at adding someone else with real quality in the forward line. I mean, Amrim's come out and said that when you have more players with different characteristics, especially in Cunha or Benjamin Seska, you have more options for scoring, particularly against low blocks.
The only thing I'd say to
that, players being injured, sorry mate.
No, the only thing I'd say with that, which I was saying to Moses, why is it that Sesko's not playing today and we managed to put so many crosses in? Xerxes had 3 clear headers. Sesko can't get one.
I know.
Like, that's the only thing I would say about that. And again, I do feel we missed Cunha today, not necessarily him, but like I said,
his arrogance.
Yeah, and the fact that the knock-on effect that we then had to play Ahmad in the 10 when Ahmad would have played at wing-back, and I feel like it then would have offered us more going forward.
I also felt that we needed that mentality, and I know people sometimes don't like this term, but it's passion. He needed someone with a bit of something to show, someone with the bit between the teeth. Mount gave it a bit when he came on, but it was a bit too late. He needed someone on there that actually looked like they wanted to go out there and win. But
is Mount fully fit? I thought Mount would have started today.
We said this.
Apparently he is.
But it doesn't seem to be in favour like he was.
Kai says we treated Ollie too harshly. Delon Nunes says this squad will expose every mistake a manager makes. Any change is a disaster. Start Dorgu, who's bad. Start Dallo, we want Dorgu. Mount, Mainu, no impact. I'll come back to the Mount, Mainu, no impact, because Mount, in my opinion, definitely made an impact, and actually I think some of his really good runs were ignored. I think players needed to get on his level. And Mainu is being asked to come on in a position that isn't his best position consistently, instead of just making the right substitution. So we're down for that. Marlow United says don't go in on the centre-back, all the pressure must be on the midfield. The new midfield whose team has been revitalised. Nick P says we've got someone flapping his hands about as a captain You lead by example. That example is don't compose yourself. Be erratic, don't compose yourself. So really frustrated with Bruno there. And Keil Robinson says Amorim's system doesn't have the credentials to merit the amount of investment needed to make it work. Kai says those were some good headers from Xerxes. One of them was pretty good. Pickford was really good save, but I was far away, but I felt like on one of them should have done better. But I'd have to rewatch it. I was far away from the stadium. My next question is, and we are going to talk a little bit about Bruno, because I know people want to talk about him and the Manu substitution as well. But do you think this fan base are too soft on the manager and on the players?
100%. No, let me not say 100%, but because of let me say, because of how difficult it's been the last, let's say, 12 years since Fergie's gone, and how many managers we've had and the ups and downs. I feel like, first of all, with Amorim, there are a lot of people that don't want to accept that this might not be working. A lot of people that are on this, like, we just have to blindly have faith in the manager until we get relegated or something like that. I think that's what a lot of people's mentality is, because they don't want to go through the same process of sacking a manager, doing this and doing that, which I completely understand. Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. So I do think there's a huge portion of the fan base that's just like, you know what, I don't really mind what's going on right now, because I just want to have blind faith and hope that things are going to get better in the future. And I do think the same way the players as well, that like, there's certain players that I just think, like, I think Bruno Fernandes is one of the ones where it's like 50-50. I'm sorry you're the poll right now. Do you want Bruno to be here next season? Or do you like 50% say yes, 50% say no? Because everyone's so just like, they either love him, like he's the guy for you, he has to play for United, or Bruno needs to go. Bruno is a problem in his team. Bruno is whatever. We see it all the time. Even before him, it's still split. Like half of us are like, we love Bruno, half of us kind of don't want to be on a team. So yeah, I do think definitely there is a lot of people that are a little bit, I wouldn't say too soft, because naturally it's just being a United fan. As a fan of the club, you're going to support players, managers, whatever it is. But I think there's a big split in terms of certain players.
Because I just think to myself, patience is something that's thrown around a lot, but I do think we do overhype some of our players. Some of them are genuinely very good and are playing with players that I don't think are model. And with Amorim, it's really difficult, because I want to believe so much. I really want him to do well, but I just keep getting given signs that I just don't know if the system can consistently work. I'm really going to be honest. I just don't know. I mean, just looking at these stats, I know some of it's from last season. Man United managers and head coaches compared first 54 matches. Ten Hag with 36, 66.7% win rate at the top. Ruben Amorim with 21, 38.9% win rate. 66.7% Hag, 38.9%. I'm not saying Ten Hag was but it's just, so Alex Ferguson is after Amorim, but he's still on 46.3%, Ollie on 50. And then just in terms of being able to affect the game perspective, Man United under Amorim have only won 2 games when losing at half-time. Man City 2-1 away and Southampton 3-1 at home. 2 games when losing at half-time. That's, to me, that's under Amorim.
It's a bit of a false stat, that.
Really, because that gives to me that the manager can't affect the game.
First of all, what you've got to find out is how many times we've been behind at half-time. Do you know what I mean? You might not be. You might only have been behind at half-time. I don't know, 10.
Really? Yeah. I think it's probably more than that.
I don't know.
Based on the last year.
I don't know. How many times have we lost? We won't be losing at half-time in every game. A lot of the winning goals are in the second half, aren't they? So some of them stats that people put out there, and it sounds like, wow, that's absolutely crazy. But if you're not behind often enough at half-time, you're not going to come back to win very often, are you? Do you know?
I just look at it, and I know we keep going on about this system, and we say the system's flawed, but it is definitely flawed against 10 men if you're not going to take a defender off. Because you can't keep hold of the ball. Like, I don't know why he didn't make the changes. And saying that it was too defensive, the lineup. The lineup was fine to start with, but as soon as you go down to 10 men, then you've got to make a change. Like,
it doesn't even have to be a substitution. No, it can just be a change internal.
Yeah, 100%. But it should have been a substitution. Ahmad should have went into wing-back. You could have put Bruno further forward if you wanted to.
The only thing is, because it was so substitution after 10 minutes because of the opposition team, I think that's a bit too, like, you know, reactive. After 10 minutes?
Not after 10 minutes. I would have done it in the first half, though. And I'm not even just saying this. I said it in the game. I would have. It was so obvious after about 10 minutes, maybe even less. But after the Idrissa Gueye got sent off, it was so obvious we needed to move Ahmad back to wing back.
Yeah.
And bring in another player who could actually play football like Mason Mount or Kobbie Mainoo. But this is what and personally I would have put Mainoo or Mount in the 10. I wouldn't bring Mainoo on in a centre defensive midfield position, which isn't his best position, because what he keeps doing, Amorim, which is really frustrating me, it's very, very rare